nearing the middle of October here. Snow's just around the corner. Let's get the 42 G506 down to the shop and get her inside so it can get a motor and all the other goodies. I've had this truck for 3 years now and it has never moved from this spot. All I've been doing is adding parts to it to make it move. And then before I got it, of course, it sat in the woods for over 40 years. So just moving this thing to the shop and everything will be the first time it's moved and steered, and the first time it's been inside to be worked on in who knows how long. Of course, we're going to use this one. Let's get a chain hooked up and drag her out of here. Tires are flat and don't hold air. I got more in the pile there, but we'll see if she moves on these. Don't really feel like wrestling them on and off right now, but she should still roll. Okay, chain's hooked up. And rather than hooking way up here up high, which we'll kind of want to pull it down, hook low on the axle, should work a little better. So let's see if we can pull this thing. Stop there, gonna have to turn it as I go, the wheels. But man, just out this far is crazy seeing it. Yeah, that's something. Up on wheels and everything. That door doesn't latch, so I might have to tie that. But man, she looks good. I think once this flat spot works out, it might actually roll pretty good. So we'll see here. Got that done, so this is great. It's inside out of the weather. There was actually snow in the forecast for last night. And luckily it held off and didn't happen. So I was able to get this in and out of the weather before it got all wet and snowy and crappy outside. Kind of like last year when I was working on this thing outside. That was kind of miserable. But we're into the evening now. It's kind of holding around 35 degrees outside at the moment. And in here in the shop, got the barrel stove cranking. And it's about 75 degrees in here. So this is going to be, you know, luxury. Going to be fun to work on this. Normally outside laying in the gravel, so yeah. Really, one of the first things I got to do here is I'm going to lose some heat out of the building when I open the doors up, but oh well. Bring the 270 in, get it set in here on the rear motor mounts, and then let it down so I can kind of measure and everything where to make a plate for the front motor mounts on the 270, because the block is longer on those as opposed to the 235, so it won't just bolt right into the original mounts. So you have to build a little plate over and put 2 holes in it to mount the 270 in. But it's not too difficult. A fellow World War II truck enthusiast and YouTuber commented on one of my videos on this truck, and he made a walk around video of his 270 front mount. So, you know, big thank you for that. I appreciate that. It was good to see that in detail and up close and personal with a camera. I've only been around one of these trucks that had a 270 swapped in it, and it was kind of difficult to get in there and see with the fenders on and everything. So that's cool. So other than bringing the motor in, setting it in to deal with the front motor mount type stuff, I did mess with the tires a little bit now that I have it in here and can use the big compressor. These two are holding so far, and it's just the passenger side ones that are not. I used the worst tires out of my pile just to see, but I have more, so I'll have to put 2 more good ones on it that hold air, and then she'll roll good. But it actually, considering they're flat, it will roll. And just usual, I'll probably pull those floor pans out to make it easier to deal underneath, get things bolted up. Gonna have to figure out a transmission. Not sure if I want to use the CCKW 5-speed or not. I'd kind of like to find a Chevy 4-speed for this, because the transfer case levers and everything will bolt right onto the side. You don't have to make any mods. And for the 5-speed, you have to cut out your floor pan. And this other pan, well, you can't see, but that upper pan. And one other thing, it said online, it kind of affects your gas pedal. So yeah, I don't know. Might find a 4-speed instead. So yeah, first plan of attack, get the 270 in, figure out the mount, figure out a transmission, and then we'll put a transfer case in it. I'll have to build a front drive shaft. I don't have rear axle shaft, so it'll move on front wheel drive for now when it's up and going. And then wire up the charging system, fuel, all that usual stuff. Might lift all this stuff out of here, vacuum out the bottom of the cab there. It's all dirty from being out in the woods. And with no windows in it, the rain will kind of get in and then soak that, and then it will want to rust out everything on the cab corners and the floor. Not that this is real pristine, but I try to take care of stuff if I can. Alright, so to deal with this front motor mount, I'm going to kind of clean all this dirt and leave stuff out of here and get this little splash shield out. I don't want to wreck that because that's actually original and somewhat unique to these. So I'll get all this junk out of the way, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to bridge to this other cross member or just overhang it. I'd rather not weld anything in, just make it bolt in. So in case I ever want to go back original with a 235, you know, it's not permanent, which if I use a thick enough plate of steel and just bolt it down here and overhang it off of this, it'll be fine. You know, use rubber, of course, for the mounts. So let me get that stuff cleaned out, see if I can get that splash shield out, and we'll go from there. Okay, well, this is going nowhere so far. Can't get vice grips to stay on them, and screwdrivers are not doing much either. You can't really get a grinder in here and grind them off without wrecking the thing anyway. So I don't know. I don't imagine the mount's gonna come out, you know, that far. It's actually closer to this from what I remember. I'm just not sure if the crank pulley, where that's gonna be. It may clear it, I'm not sure. So I might go pick up the motor, open the doors, and set it in here and see what it looks like. And then if I have to take this out, then we'll deal with it then. But maybe it can just stay and look original for the most part. So let me go pick up that 270 and bring it in here, set her in. Look who's just ready for action. And here we are. Seems like we just moved this. Get her hooked up and open the doors, set her in the truck. All right, I gotta get it hoisted up above that and then back up, set her down. Oh yeah, this isn't sketchy at all. Maybe I should have got more of an angle on it. May have to bring it down kind of sideways. Okay, well, that kind of sucked. Had to get a crazy angle on it to get it in. I didn't feel like taking all this stuff off. Probably should have, but oh well. She's sitting in the rear mounts, had to pry it around a bit. And as you can see how that sits, but it'll rest in there. It's not gonna go anywhere. And then I can always bring the truck back in, pick up the front. I got enough room with the firewall here, I think. Pick up the front and deal with that. And you know, that splash shield might actually clear. I'm not sure. But it's definitely not going to sit that low. I have the rubber mount from the 235 that I can use. And then build that plate over. And then, yeah, see if I can get those things to bolt up or not. But she's sitting in there and looking good already. So, yeah. Okay, I got the doors closed back up. Let the heat get warm in here again. Raised it up in the front and put a block under there for now. It's dark outside, so I can't really hunt for what kind of plate steel I have. So I'll do that tomorrow. But hopefully she won't have to come back out again. Sits in here pretty good. Out back here, see if we can't find a plate for that front motor mount. Dig around through the hardware store, as I like to call it. Maybe in the big pile. I'll keep looking here. All right, back inside here. Found a plate out back. It's an old winch plate, you know, where you mount it on, then there's where your fair leads bolt on. But it's nice and wide enough. Should fit in there good, and then just take that part off there that curves up. So use this, and here's the plate from the original motor, and here's like the rubber mount type deal. So if the plate's in there like that, this is plenty wide enough to catch these bolts here where it actually mounts. And then what I gotta do is take this off here with these bolts, because they're the ones that come through the cover here. So let me find my light so you can see. And as you can see, the bolts on that motor are about even right on the edge of that cross member. So what I gotta do is get that mount thing off and then bring the boom back over this, pick up the front of the motor high enough where the ends of those bolts are up above this, and then bolt that mount on. And then once that is on, I can cut that plate so it is the right width and everything, and then put that under there, mark all the holes where those original motor mount bolt holes are, and then mark the 2 holes for these bolts here. And then while the motor is still suspended and everything, drill the holes in the plate, put it under there, and then set it down. And where the bolts are close to the edge on the actual mounting bolts, that'll allow me enough room in here, in this drop here, to put the nuts and whatnot under. with lock washers. And then this piece here that the other end of the plate will be bolted to, it's open underneath, so I can get underneath and bolt those on too. Okay, I got that hoisted up. The bolts are up out of the way. I got the mount here off of that. Kind of scraped all the grease off of it. So let me see if I can get this on and through those holes there. And then sneak that plate in there. I'll have to cut that off. Alright, got that rubber mount thing bolted in there. That's all good. Now I'll lower this thing back down so I can try and get some bolt holes for the plate marked. Drill them out. Still got to cut that plate. But going good so far, so let me see what else I can get done. Okay, took a little while, but looky there. Got her. Everything went good. I found some fine threaded lock nuts for those front bolts and some other bolts and lock washers and regular stuff for the back there. I had to torch out holes in the front of that plate for those nuts that come down through that cover there on that mount. So took a little while, but it went really good. It's sitting in here really nice. You want it to lean back a little bit so the oil can run back and then drain back down so it's not flooding your top end. So she's all bolted down, ready to go in the front. Really happy with how it turned out. And then underneath here, I was making sure I was lined up on both sides there on the rear mounts. So slap those bolts in and then start putting more on the motor now. Get the radiator in and stuff like that. But it's pretty late, so I think I'm gonna quit for tonight. Glad I got that done. Pretty smooth sailing from this point on now. Back in the shop on another evening. Get back to work on this whole project here. Haven't done anything since I got the front motor mount done. The only thing I did was take the lift chain off of the motor. So get back at it here. I'm gonna get these block off hoses that are hooked back to one another off, so I have room to get the radiator in, stuff like that. Yes, that fuel pump is upside down. I noticed that and realized after I put it on. I'm used to the ones that go that way. My bad. And brought a little propane torch out here with me. Got to solder the radiator. As you can see, when this truck was sitting out in the woods, somebody used it for target practice. But luckily, the only bullet went through right there and nowhere else. Really lucky, because the radiators for these trucks are their own thing. Nothing else will work. Nothing else will fit. Unless you get really Alaska cobble style and want to put something in it, which isn't too easy on something like this. So I'm lucky there. I gotta, bend that bullet impact thing back, solder that up, and then I can get the radiator in. Still got to put the rear motor mounts in, the bolts that go up from the bottom into the bell housing mounts, stuff like that. So let me get after it here. Probably won't film too much because you can watch plenty of YouTube videos how to solder a radiator, but basically, you have to get it really clean. It's got to be super clean. And you use either acid core solder or solid core. But the biggest thing is make sure it's clean. So I'm going to take some emery cloth and get after that. See what I can make happen. And we'll go from there. I forgot how heavy these things were. Not sure how much it weighs, but man, that is one heavy duty radiator built with quality. Can't quite tell if the solder, looks like somebody's repaired this filler, or not filler, but water neck here once before. So might have to touch that up a little bit, but where that impact went through right there, I'll just have to bend that back out best as I can and then go over it. So before I put that radiator in, get these off like I said before, but I'm gonna pull the thermostat housing and see if it even has a thermostat in it. If it does, I'm just gonna take it out and throw it in a corner somewhere, just so I know that there's not gonna be some old rusty piece of crap thermostat in there that's gonna stick and cause this thing to overheat. So let me do that, get these off, and get that big heavy thing dropped into place here. Get her all bolted up. All right, took that housing off. Thermostat didn't look too bad, but I left it out anyway. Gasket was fine, so reused it. And as you can see, there's just all kinds of wonderful stuff in that water pump. So I'm gonna take a vacuum and try and suck out as much of that as I can, clean up all this junk in here, and then try and set the radiator in. All right, making some progress, I think. Got the radiator bolted in, all the bolts along here. Everything is good. If you kind of sight down it this way, you can tell it's tweaked around a bit, so it didn't really bolt in there all that good. But it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's good to go. It's got this character dent in it from the good old days, so we're just gonna leave that. It'll be fine. Got this hose on. It's still pliable, so must be good. We're gonna go with that too. And I got this firewall and radiator support brace thing back on. Nothing moves around too bad up front here anymore, so that's good. Keep it under 80 and it'll be fine. And get that out of the way. Stupid cords. Well, you can't see anything, but I got the two motor mounts in the back bolted down. You know, those right there. Bolts from the bottom come up, so they're tight. And everything was going good. I used the vacuum to kind of clean all the junk off of up there and some stuff in the cab, kind of tidy it up a little bit. And the next issue is I had to take the water pump off just to get the radiator in. And then looking at things closer, this is the 270 water pump that's for this motor. And it sticks out quite a bit further than a 235 water pump on the shaft and pulley. Well, if I could get them lined up. But yeah, the 235 is a much closer profile. So I'm not sure what I gotta do here. The shaft on the 270 water pump is too long, and so is this pulley. I can't get that pulley off. I even tried heating it up around here. No luck with that yet. That fan is a 235 fan, which I'll end up using because it's a nice slim profile to fit in between this tight fit here. So I guess I'll have to hop on to the Facebook group that's all about these trucks and see what people had to do with their water pumps to work with the stock radiator and everything. And unfortunately, the 235 water pump, which is all fine and dandy, is different than the 270. They bolt completely opposite, and these are different width, and of course the two holes as opposed to one. So I'm no good either way. Gonna have to figure it out somehow. besides the water pump ordeal, everything else is going pretty good. Of course, it's dark in here. I just ordered new lights to put up in here, so hopefully it'll be better. I hate this stupid yellow light. Drives me crazy. Makes everything like yellowish. But at least it's nice and warm in here. We got an inch of snow last night, and it's like 25 degrees out right now, and it's 80 in here, so t-shirt weather. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else I can do on this till I figure out the water pump. It's almost midnight right now, so I'm not sure what else I can do. Tomorrow, what I gotta do is, before we get any more snow, because I blew the front spider gears out of the boom truck, the good old smashed up Ford boom truck there, Ethel as we know it, but I need to get 2 more tires in here to put on to replace these flat ones, and I need to hoist the transfer case up and bring it in here, so I have that to put up underneath, and still need to figure out a transmission and build a front drive shaft, because it's going to be front wheel drive right now. No axle shafts for back here. And let's see what else. Not sure. I guess I'll have to figure out the water pump thing and keep going on hooking up the hoses and fan and all that once I figure it out. So anyways, got a little bit done, and until tomorrow when I can get the wheels in and transfer case in, I think I'll call it a night.